Nothing causes trouble in marriage quite like money, does it? We're all probably familiar with the statistic that 80% of marriages say the number one stress in their marriage that led to divorce was money. But I read recently that 90% of marriages, of couples who describe their marriages as great, talk about money frequently. Why is it that we don't like to talk about money? It causes so much stress. We don't like to talk about it in marriage. We don't like to talk about it in the church. Because money is not primarily about a number figure, is it? It's really primarily about emotion. We don't like to talk about it because money is really about our dreams and our desires, our hopes and our fears and our anxiety and sometimes our greed and our disappointments. That's why there's a phrase in this passage that we're looking at today in 2 Corinthians chapter 9 that really captures our imagination. Paul says, God loves a cheerful giver. And while that makes sense emotionally, or while that makes sense intellectually, let's be honest, does it really make sense to you emotionally that those two words should go together, cheerful and giver? They don't to me. It's like putting together the two words, cheerful loser. Anybody own 3 in your fantasy football league? And you're looking at your games today thinking, I want to be a cheerful loser today. That's my goal. No, I want to be a cheerful winner. And I don't want to be a cheerful giver. I want to be a cheerful getter. I much more prefer that. That makes much more sense to me. And yet, Paul writes, God loves a cheerful giver. Now, his desire, of course, is not to kind of feed their pursuit of happiness. His primary purpose is to encourage them to do the right thing, to honor God, to live like Christ. Specifically, he's challenging them to give an offering for Christians who are in Jerusalem and Judea. See, Paul writes 2 Corinthians, he's on his 3rd missionary journey, and one of the reasons that he's on this journey is he's in places like Turkey and modern-day Greece collecting an offering because there's a famine going on in Judea and Jerusalem, and the Christians there are starving or hungry. They need help. And it's those Christians that financed to get these churches started so these people could come to know Christ. And Paul says, hey, it's now your turn to give back. And it's in that context that he says, oh, and by the way, God loves a cheerful giver. And he challenges them to handle their finances in a way that brings joy, not anxiety and trouble.